All right. So, Star, Gene, let's recap what we discussed today in your session. I'm going to make a couple of videos. The first one we'll do today, or this one, is going to be about the programming stuff that we discussed just a little while ago. Then I'll shoot separate videos for the exercises that we added in. Um, but to start off with the programming, the most important thing is to keep it simple. You know, the simpler it is, the more you're likely to do it. The more complicated it is, it just gets a little much. I'm going to also send you in either probably as an email, just an email. I'll send this to you as well, so you got it. But for most everybody, number one, total body, right? We're going to do it. We're going to make your workouts total body workouts. That way, it's just easier. Also, if you miss a day, it doesn't matter. You know, if you're doing a split routines are great for like people who are doing more bodybuilding oriented stuff. Or if you got more time and you're able to do like, multiple days of the week. What I mean by that is like if you got like, let's say on Monday you work legs, on Tuesday you work upper body, you take Wednesday off, on Thursday you work legs, on Friday you work upper body. If you want, you can do that. But generally speaking, for most people who are busy and they got other activities, total body training 3 days a week is adequate. You're going to get what you need in, and then it just kind of keeps it relatively simple. And so, well, how do we lay that out? Well, my recommendation first is you want to do, after your warm up, you want to do your big compound movement first. And the compound movements, what I mean by that is movements where you're moving multiple joints, right? And you're loading through your thoracopelvic cavity or your rib cage and your pelvis, right? So your pushes, your pulls, your presses, your vertical pulls, your squats, and your hinges, right? We want to do that first. And so, as I laid out before, this is how I like to do it. So, we're going to do a squat. On one day, we're going to go squat, right? We're going to go press, and we're going to go horizontal row, right? So we're just going to call that A, right? Workout A, right? Workout B, see? Workout B, we're going to do your deadlift or hinge, right? We're going to do a upper body push. In this case, it was like we've been doing the floor press or a bench press, or with the machine, right? It's going to be your horizontal pushing, right? Versus your vertical pressing. Teacher, I have the answer, right? And since we did a horizontal row on day A, right, this horizontal row, we're going to do what we did today in the gym, a vertical pull, right? So here is your basic structure. All right, so on A, we have your squat, your press, your horizontal row. B, you have your deadlift, your push, your vertical pull, right? With each of these, we're going to do we're going to do 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Now, how do you know when it's time to go up in weight? Well, once 12 feels easy, you can take that weight up. When all 3 sets of 12 feels easy, you can take that weight up. Or when in doubt, when you're able to do 3 sets of 12, go 3 sets of 10 to 15. Then once 3 sets of 15 feels really easy, then you can take that weight up, and guaranteed you'll be able to do more than likely that next weight up for 8 reps. Now, what ends up happening, and the reason is sometimes, especially when we get up to higher weights, like when you go from with dumbbells kind of on the lower end, when you're doing like 5s, 8s, 10s, the increments are a little bit smaller. When you get up to like from 12, from 15 on, they usually jump up in 5-pound increments. So, that's why if you take it to 15, you'll know that you should be able to jump up and you'll be able to do 8. But so that's the bulk of your plan. And honestly, if you can get that in, you're already ahead of the curve. Yeah, because you're going to work most of your lower body, especially the front part of your lower body, your quads and so forth, with your squat. But you're getting your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings with your squat. With your press, you're getting your shoulder and your upper chest muscles as well as the back of the arms. With your upper body pull, that horizontal row, you're going to get your lats, which are the big guys that we're trying to get. We're going to get your bicep. We're going to get the back of that shoulder, right? So, you're hitting all major muscle groups, and that's the big thing. With the deadlift, you're going to get, right? You're going to get that the back side, the posterior chain, the back side of your legs and your hamstrings, but you're also getting a little bit of that front too. With the push, you're getting more of the chest muscles, right? With the vertical pull, you're even getting much more of that lat. So that's the basic layout. And again, your 3 sets are starting off 8 to 12. Once 12 feels easy, you have the choice. If you want, you can take that weight up, or you can go 10 to 15. And once 3 sets of 15 feels easy, then you can take that weight up. Now, once we've done all of this in your workout, right? Well, let's talk about rest first. And again, what we decided for you guys, so we just go, I go, you go. So Star, you go. Then while you're resting, Gene's going to go. And so that's going to build in adequate recovery. So what we want when we're doing this repetition range, this kind of 8 to 15 repetition range, we want roughly around, I would say for you guys around like 60 seconds of recovery at least. But really anywhere between 30 to 90 seconds, depending upon how intense it is. Right? I don't want to confuse you and give you too much. So if you give yourself at least 60 seconds to recover, you're going to be fine in this repetition range with an intensity, with a weight that kind of challenges that range. All right, let yourself recover for 60 seconds. If you're, again, you're going, I go, you go, right? One of you goes, and then like Star, you're resting as Gene goes. You're going to have that recovery time. So, right, once we've completed this stuff, then you can add in all the accessory stuff, or ancillary stuff is how it's often referred. And that's going to be your isolation-based exercises, isolation, right? And that's going to be your isolation stuff is you see on your machine, right? It'd be like the tricep push downs where we're isolating these muscles, your bicep curls, things like that, especially for the fellas, they like that stuff. For the ladies, typically it's things like Star, you were talking about where you put the strap on your ankle and you're doing things like glute kickbacks, right? Where you extend the layback, or you're going out to the side and you're working these hip muscles, these abductors, right? Or opposite, where you're going in and you're working these adductors. So that's going to be all your isolation-based exercises. So once you've finished, right? Once you've completed all of these big guys, because you want to do them first. Why? Because it's important that if you have a weight in your hand and you're loading through your spine or you're loading through that shoulder joint, you don't want to fatigue your triceps before you load through that shoulder. Now, there's some people who do, but for you guys, it's not what we're seeking. That's a whole different strategy, right? Or same thing, right? We don't want to pre-fatigue our quadricep muscles with that leg extension on your machine and then go do squats, right? For you guys, better off doing those squats first so when you're nice and fresh, and then we can do your isolation-based exercises. What I like to do is you can also do your isolation, and while you're resting, instead of going I go, you go, now maybe you do your isolation exercise, right? And then you do some core work while you're resting. And you can kind of go back and forth that way. Now, my guess is you guys eventually, maybe not right now, but you're probably going to want to do different things with your isolation-based exercises. There's stuff that that you're going to want to work on more than Gene, and vice versa. So we can always address that. But for the most part, again, get these guys first, then we hit your isolation and your core-based work. Now, with your isolation, your core work, let's stick with 1 to 2 sets of 10 to 15 reps, right? So with your isolation and your core work, we're going to go 1 to 2 sets of 10 to 15 reps. Now, really, with a lot of that stuff, you can take it to kind of fatigue, but I would, for right now, stick 10 to 15. Once 15 repetitions feels easy, take that weight up. You know, take that weight up in the smallest increment you can, and that goes for any of this stuff. When you're ready to progress, take it up the smallest step you can, and start back. Right, start back 8 to 12. Right, start back 10 to 15. Right, see if you can complete 2 sets of 10 before you take it. And then 2 sets of 12, and then 2 sets of 15, right? Or up here, right? 3 sets of 8 to 10. You do 10, all right. 3 sets of 10 to 12. You do 12, all right. 3 sets of 12 to 15, right? And so once you can accomplish that, then you can take that weight up. All right. I hope this is helpful, you guys. The next video I send to you is going to be the various different exercises and lifts that we did when you guys were in here. All right.